Good evening and welcome to the Coon Rapids City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 7th, 2016. If you could please rise and join us with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whenever you're ready, please call the roll.
Councilmember Camp. Here. Councilmember Manning. Here. Councilmember Demmer. Here. Councilmember Geisler. Here. Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Wells. Here. Mayor Cook.
Here. First item on our agenda this evening is to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Clint, second by Demmer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the agenda is adopted. We don't have any proclamations or presentations tonight, so that brings us to the approval of the minutes from the May 17th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Manning, second by Geisler to approve the minutes from the May 17th, 2016 council meeting. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. 6. We have 6 items on our consent agenda this evening. The first item is to approve the waiver of fees for the 4th of July celebration. The Coon Rapids Fire Relief Association and the Coon Rapids North Star Lions have submitted a request to waive the fireworks display, carnival, and parade fees for the annual 4th of July celebration. Historically, these fees have been waived for this city event, so we would look pretty bad if we didn't do it this year, right? Oh, the chief's not even here. We can do what we want. Yeah.
He'll find out about it if we don't.
All right, okay. Next item on our consent agenda is to approve an assessment agreement and waiver for Lawrence Estates. And this is regarding street construction adjacent to 2 properties located along 128th Avenue. And we're looking at approving the assessment agreement and waiver for Lawrence Estates and approve resolution 16-69 postponing assessments for Lawrence Estates Outlot A. The next item is to consider resolution 16-70 supporting a tax credit application for Riverdale Station development. And this is related to the Sherman Associates is looking at building approximately first phase of approximately 245 apartments in 2 buildings on about 8 acres of a 16-acre site next to the North Star train station. And so we're looking at adopting resolution 16-70 supporting a tax credit application for the Riverdale Station development. Next item is to approve a memorandum of understanding with Anoka Ramsey Community College, Minnesota campus sexual assault legislation. And should be the last item, I think. Oh, I got 2 more, okay. Adopt resolution 16-71. Oh, I just skipped ahead, didn't I?
Nope.
Oh, that was it, all right. Adopt resolution 16-71, establishing new polling location for precinct 3-2. And we have been informed by the Church of the Epiphany that the church, it actually is just busy, right? So because we're not able to schedule it in there, the staff has made arrangements to vote precinct 3-2 at the Coon Rapids Civic Center located at Robinson Drive. And we're looking at adopting resolution 16-72, establishing a new polling place for precinct 4-1. We've been informed that the American Legion Club building is for sale. And so we've made arrangements to vote precinct 4-1 at the Riverwind Recreation Center, 2701 Northdale Boulevard.
All right.
Councilor Manning.
I move adoption of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Manning, second by Demmer to adopt the consent agenda. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries and the consent agenda is adopted. And our next item, number 8, levy of miscellaneous 2016 assessments. And see, anything you want to introduce on this before we hold an assessment hearing to collect? Oh, that's just saying that if you have any written appeals to bring them up, right?
Correct, Mayor and Council. So if you open the hearing, if anybody's got any appeals for this, we've already collected some today. So we will fill in the amount of the resolutions that you will adopt for the unopposed assessments after we close the public hearing. So then we'll adjust the amount from our original amount for those that have appealed.
Okay,
And they'll go before the Board of Adjustment.
all right, okay. So this is for levy of miscellaneous 2016 assessments. So I will open the public hearing on that, and is anybody here to address council for those miscellaneous assessments this evening? Anybody here for the public hearing on that? Seeing none, we'll close that and look to council.
Do them all at once?
Can we do them all at once? We're getting a nod.
All right. Move to adopt Resolution 16-66-2016, Sub 2, miscellaneous special assessments. Adopt Resolution 16-67, 2016, Sub 2, miscellaneous special assessments. And adopt Resolution 16-68, 2016, Sub 2, miscellaneous special assessments.
Second.
Motion by Demmer, second by Manning. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries, and those are adopted. Item 9 is,
There just looked like questioning looks over there.
Sorry, I'm going to ask you that. We are going to discuss 9 and 10, that point of parliamentary procedure that we did table these last time, that could be a motion. We moved those from the table for discussion tonight.
So I'll make the motion that we remove items 9 and 10 from the table so that they can have further discussion and potentially go to a vote tonight.
Second.
motion by Johnson, second by Wells to remove, can we remove them both at the same time?
Sure.
Okay, all right. From
We
the
can
table.
discuss them one at a time now.
Okay. Yeah, so can we have discussion, any discussion on removing her from the table? I know we don't have discussion when we put them on the table. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of removing her from the table signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, and those are officially off the table. So the first one is item 9, to consider Planning Commission, Planning Case 16-9, consider approval of an amendment to Gateway Commerce Center Planned Unit Development, H&W LLC. And this is, we got so many notes here. All right, you know what? Grant or somebody want to do it, is there any presentation on this? I don't have the short notes to look at. Thanks, Mr. Ehrlicher. Well, you had a presentation queued up. You weren't going to use it unless we asked?
He's ready.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before the Council tonight is the proposed Gateway Commerce Center PUD amendment. Back in 2015, the current configuration of the PUD was approved with a car dealership, a swim center, and a hotel. Since that time, the swim center has for financial reasons, not been able to do their proposed development. And the Walzer company, which bought this end parcel here, had interest in expanding their car dealership onto the swim center site. That would expand their dealership site from 6 acres to 10 acres. would allow a larger building, an increase from 31,000 to 60,000 square feet, and increase in the storage area or parking stalls from 439 to 616. Here's the proposed PUD amendment with a car dealership on this parcel here, then the hotel site here, and restaurant pad in this location here. This area up in here does not change at all. It's just really this area right here. What this does is it brings the proposed dealership site to a comparable size with the other three other main dealerships in the city, the newer ones: Ford, Chrysler, and Toyota. Ford is 11 acres, Chrysler is 11 acres, and the Toyota has about 10 acres that was buildable. Much of their site is wetland. So it's consistent with those other dealerships. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the car dealership. Planning Commission did recommend denial of the car dealership on a mixed vote. They felt that the dealership was not consistent with the design guidelines, and that it would be the largest use along this stretch of the PUD. And the other reason was the proposal is not consistent with the primary objectives of the PUD design guidelines, which states a uniform and consistent review of development. They were concerned with the way the PUD had been amended in the past. Should the Planning Commission decide, or the City Council decide, to approve the proposed amendment, there are 10 conditions that should be included in the approval. And with that, I'll answer any questions, and the applicant is in the audience if you have any questions of them.
Councilman Kessler.
So I probably was one of the more vocal ones last month, or last week, a couple weeks ago when we were working on it. My main issue was the planned unit development. To me, planned is a key word there, and it seemed to be very ad hoc and not much planning coming into it. We did workshop this last week, and we worked with the development organization and the landowners to look at how can we become planned, how can we look at what's left and have a common vision from the city's perspective of what this land we would like to see it used for, and moving forward in that perspective. So with those conversations and looking at what the remaining plots of land are guided, that those are consistent with the vision from the city, and if we say true to those, I think we will be, moving towards our planned development, and so I will support this tonight.
Any other questions?
Can I ask a question? I can't tell from these drawings, is there a trail or sidewalk or anything going down past this?
Yes, Councilmember Clint, there is it doesn't show up on here very well,
No.
but there is a sidewalk that extends from here, from the end of the cul-de-sac, down to the pond here.
Okay, and is it on the same side as the dealership would be? As far as, we have a plantings map,
And it's kind of
but I can't tell where the sidewalk
yeah.
is to the plantings.
Yeah, the sidewalk will go right along where that tree line is.
Okay.
And there's also a trail that will connect between the dealership site and the hotel site, going back to the wetland area.
So,
Questions?
I'd be ready to make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the proposed amendment with the 10 stated conditions, and would anybody like them read?
No.
Okay.
I'll second them.
We have a motion.
A second.
Geisler, second by Johnson. And for some reason I've lost that motion on here, but I know what you just said, so. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Johnson?
One of the important things, I think, for me in this process and the approval is kind of the quality and the vision of, I should say, the quality of the vision that has been brought forward with respect to the kind of dealership that was there. And we did have a conversation with the property owners and developers at a workshop, and we saw plans of a Honda dealership. And I think, although the specific nature of the dealership is not listed, or the specific dealership is not listed as one of the conditions, I think it is important that that was kind of the material representation that was being made about what would go there. And should we get information later that that is not what would go there, I would probably be in support of a motion to either reconsider or rescind this kind of approval. But I think it's a really good vision. I want to commend the landowners and the developers for bringing this to the city, and I would like to see us vote in favor of it. I think it would be a nice contribution to the city.
To be clear, Councilmember Johnson, that would actually be, that would require a different motion.
Yes, it would, at a different time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you interested in making this subject to them getting a Honda dealership?
No,
Okay. All right.
no. I'm just saying that I will bring this back forward. If all of a sudden what we get is a Yugo dealership, I will bring this back before council and ask for us to reconsider it.
Your Honor,
Councilor Manning.
I'd like to hear legal interpretation. After passing a motion to amend the PUD, could we even bring forth a motion to reverse it?
I'm going to give you a legal answer. It depends. So it would be hard to speculate, and I think we understand what Councilmember Johnson
This
is.
thing has been amended so many times, I think we could entertain a future amendment in the future.
I would be
Your Honor.
concerned about that working, but
That the amendments have been brought forward by the landowner. I'm not sure that we can amend it after agreeing to that. That's why I asked.
kind of sounds like a lawsuit to me.
Yeah, that's why I asked our really on top of it legal department here, and
To give you an it depends answer.
Can I just say too that for people listening at the last meeting, I also was opposing this, but after meeting,
Right.
we had a very, very good meeting at our workshop with the owners of the property, and they listened to our concerns, so I really appreciate that, and I'm ready to move forward as well.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. And on a related note, we're to consider planning case 16-10, consider resolution 16-54, granting final plat approval for Gateway Commerce fourth edition, Highway 10 and Hanson Boulevard, H&W Family LLLP. Mr. Harlicker, is there anything else you want to add on to this with this?
Mayor and council members, this is the plat that creates the lot for the car dealership you just approved. And there's a resolution 1654 that recognizes that.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Councilman Manning.
I move adoption of resolution 16-54 with the two conditions.
Second.
Motion by Manning, second by Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item on our agenda is to consider adoption of ordinance 2167, an ordinance establishing a fee for keeping chickens. This was introduced at the last council meeting. And with the approval of an ordinance allowing chickens, it is necessary to establish a fee for the necessary permit. The ordinance attached establishes a fee of $100 for this one-time chicken keeping permit. So if you have chickens for 1 year, that would be kind of expensive, but if you have chickens for 10 years, $10 a year doesn't seem so bad. So, Counselor Clint?
I'll move adoption of ordinance 2167.
Second.
Motion by Clint, second by Geisler. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'm just really glad you said it was a lot of bucks. We had to get at least one chicken pun.
Oh, boy. Item 12, this also was introduced at the last council meeting. Consider adoption of ordinance 2168, establishing a housing improvement area for Creek Meadows 2 Owners Association. And I think we kind of went through this pretty well at the last meeting. So I guess I'll just look to council. Councilor Clint?
I think at the last meeting, we said that this would be the meeting if people wanted to say something, so I don't know if there's anyone in the audience.
No, that was the last meeting,
Last
wasn't
meeting, we
it?
had a public hearing on it, and several residents did speak at it.
Yeah,
And that was their opportunity to,
that was it.
Yeah. Well, so if they were opposed, then they had to file with the,
no, if we adopt the ordinance tonight, then there'll, before it becomes in effect, which is in 45 days, they'll have an opportunity to object to it. So tomorrow we'll send out, if the ordinance is passed, notice to everybody, and they'll have an opportunity to object to it. And if a certain percentage gets to it, then the ordinance will not come into effect.
it's only been 3 weeks since the last council
No, I
meeting.
know,
feel
but
like,
if there's
no, I
people-
feel like I need to be retrained again. It's like I'm just out of roll tonight
But it's
here.
just that sometimes we let people talk on things and sometimes we don't. I thought if people were here that wanted to talk.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2168, establishing HIA for Creek Meadows 2.
Second.
Motion by Geisler, second by Johnson. Any discussion?
Your Honor?
Councilor Demmer?
So, asking legal, I see that there are some findings that have to be made, such as it's virtually impossible, those sort of things. Are these things that you need us to say in the meeting again, or is it good that it's written
I
down?
believe they're in the ordinance itself, so by
Okay.
passing the
Just-
ordinance, you're making those findings.
Just double checking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 13, consider planning case 16-11, Mercy Hospital site plan approval, building additions and parking deck, HDR Architects, and we have a presentation, don't we?
Yes, we've got two presentations.
All right.
Mayor and council members, Mercy Hospital is proposing a fairly significant expansion at the facility down on Coon Rapids Boulevard. It's highlighted here in black. The project includes a 329 space, 3-level parking deck, a 40,000 square foot expansion for the OR and surgery area, and an expansion and addition to their kind of their central services area, their utility area. As part of this remodel and expansion, the main entrance to the hospital will be shifted, and the emergency area will get a small expansion and a reconfigured main entrance. Here we go. I got two mouses up here. What's happening?
Thanks for coming.
It might be mixed up a little bit. This is the site plan for what I would call the northern part of the site where the parking deck is. This area here is the proposed parking deck. There'll be an entrance in off of Blackfoot here, and then an entrance and exit out on the side facing Dakota. The main drive coming in from Dakota will remain where it is, and that will probably be the primary entrance point into the deck. This area right here is the reconfigured emergency entrance with a drop-off area right here. Those going to the main entrance to the hospital can bypass that with a drop-off area here. This here is an atrium area that connects the parking deck with the hospital. That will be kind of the main entry into the hospital now. People will still be able to get dropped off on the east side and work their way over to that, but that will be the reconfigured main entrance to the hospital. You can see there's a loop around here, main entrance into the deck here and out here with a pond, landscape pond area right in the middle. This black line here is the Skyway.
Which will not connect to the
It
parking.
will not connect to the parking deck, correct.
I was kind of surprised because it just lines right up there, but that
Just
makes sense.
Structurally, it doesn't work.
Right.
This area here is the OR surgery addition. It's a two-story addition, approximately 20,000 square feet on each floor. There will be a loading area here, and there'll be an internal connection along the east side of the building that will connect into the central receiving area here. So they'll have a loading area back in here, and then another one up in this way here. And you'll notice it bumps out a little bit, so this driveway across the south side of the hospital will be reconfigured to have a slight curve in it. This area right in here is a small addition for the utility area for the hospital. And these are kind of the truck turning movements. Fire department has looked at this and they're okay with fire truck access to the parking deck. This here shows how parking movements into the new loading area as well as back into the existing loading area here. Grading plan, you can tell this is a rain garden here, and another small rain garden in this area here. This again is the parking deck. This is the north side of the hospital. Then on the south side, again, they've got another small rain garden here that will be landscaped. That landscaping will show up on the landscape plan. Here again is that central area with shrubs, ornamental trees. They've got some landscaping both around the emergency room entrance as well as the new main entrance. They've got trees planted along Coon Rapids Boulevard. These trees down in this area here may or may not stay. They may be reduced in size depending on what the FAA says because of the heliport pad there. That really limits how tall they can, the landscaping can be in that area. The trees along here, along the parking deck, staff is recommending that be planted at a larger size than what we typically get, have more of a presence, immediate presence along the boulevard. And then here on the south side, this is the OR addition. Again, here's where that rain garden was, so it'll be landscaped with trees and shrubs, as well as this area here. The applicant is currently working with Anoka County Highway Department on traffic circulation. Because of the traffic that'll be going out onto Dakota, they're concerned about what, if any, impact it'll have on the Dakota-Coon Rapids Boulevard intersection there. So they are currently reviewing that and haven't gotten back to the applicant with their recommendations yet. One thought is to direct some of the traffic back through here and around the back of the building to Blackfoot and then out to the signalized intersection. Should they do that, one of the conditions of the staff's recommendation is that these striped islands be curb and gutter and then landscaped with overstory trees to provide more of a direction through the site. This here is the parking ramp elevations. The applicant has a much better showing of what this actually looks like. This is the side facing the emergency room main entrance area with the panels up here, curtain wall glass here, and then down here they've got panels, concrete panels, and then those are open windows down here. This is the side that faces Dakota Street, again with the large curtain wall windows here and the metal panels up top, and then the precast panels down below. This is the elevation that faces Coon Rapids Boulevard, again with the panels up here, the precast panels, and then the open windows down here. And this bottom elevation is the one that faces Blackfoot Street. Most of this is screened from view by the skyway that cuts across there. That becomes fairly evident when the applicant goes through their 3D presentation. This is the OR surgery elevations. The materials and design will be consistent and match what they used in the Mother Baby Center. So they're blending this addition in with that. This here is the main entrance area. This here is the atrium connecting the parking garage with the main body of the hospital. And this here is the elevation showing the emergency room front. And this here is the addition to the central utility plant with EFS and panels down below. These areas up here are metal louvers. They provide screening for the HVAC equipment, whatever else they have up on the roof there. But it also allows for the needed ventilation to get through there. Part of this application was the need for granting design flexibility for the use of the metal panels on the parking deck and the use of the louvers here on the central utility addition. They're also requesting design flexibility for signage on the west side of the parking deck. Code allows 200 square feet. Their current sign package has a signage that's about 224 square feet. So it provides them a little bit of flexibility. That signage would go on this elevation here, generally in this area right in here. With that, Planning Commission recommended approval of the site plan, as well as approval for design flexibility for the use of the metal panels, the metal louvers, and design flexibility for the signage.
Excellent.
Your Honor,
Councilor Manning?
in planning case 16-11, I move adoption with the 7 stated conditions.
Second.
Motion by Manning, second by Demmer. Discussion. Councilor Manning?
I just wanted to point out that with the speed that Mercy is expanding, it's going to make Coon Rapids one of the best cities in Minnesota to get sick in.
Your Honor.
Councilor Demmer?
I know we had just approved the new usage guidelines, and we had hoped that the staff would be flexible when something good came along, and that was part of the guidelines. So I just wanted to say, as far as parking garages go, I think this is a very attractive building, so good job being flexible with them and getting to something that looks nice.
Yeah, this is really nice, because what was it, 3 years ago, I think, they came to expand the parking lot out further, and it's like, how far do you go out before you start going up? And, well, we're finally going up, so that's nice. Councilor Lind?
I do have real concerns with the traffic switching onto Dakota Street. I mean, you know, right now, residential street, and this is gonna bring a lot of traffic onto that street. And I really would feel more comfortable if we had gotten the county to address this before we voted on it. Because you know, one thought is if that has to become a signalized intersection, who pays for that? Do we end up having to pay for that, or would the hospital pay for that? I'm thinking the city would have to, and that kind of concerns me.
But Dakota is just all the employee parking there on the west
Yes.
side of Dakota.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of El Dorado Street?
Here's the entrance here.
Drive down further, there's houses back there.
Well, right, back where the employees are already coming out, you mean?
Yeah, and now you're gonna add all of us who go into the emergency room and everything else. It's just gonna be more traffic. Instead of Blackfoot, they're gonna move up to that street.
Mr.
Can
Mayor?
I get that answered, though? If a signalization has to be put in the future, would the city have to pay for that?
Councilmember Clint, members of the council, I can say that I haven't seen their traffic report as of now. We haven't had the comments, you're right. They're basically forcing everyone on the north side of the building, and anyone that goes into that parking ramp has to go out onto Dakota Street. So depending on what comes of that, how the traffic patterns shift, they can certainly ask that the city participate in that, but it's nothing that we're doing that would necessitate a signal to be there. So in my opinion, I would say that would be something that would fall to the applicant, and certainly the city might be contributing a small piece, but again, that's going to hinge on, you're not approving funding for a traffic signal as part of this if one is required.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is if our residents are affected and say 5 years from now, we're getting all these complaints and we see that one is really needed there, at that point, is it a city-county thing, or can we still come back to the hospital and say we need your help in paying for it?
There are lots of different ways you can fund a signal. And you can do it by area, you can do it by country. I mean, if you think of some of the improvements done up in the Riverdale area, who's providing the traffic? We did a traffic study for Magnum Trucking. There would have been a contribution by them to that. Okay. So if you go out to assess for a traffic signal, there are multiple different ways that you could come up with the funding splits.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor? I had one question. So what wasn't quite clear to me is where you're saying, so there's the drop-off for the emergency, so sometimes people drop people off there. Where's the ambulance? Is it the same entry and the same place?
Yes, the entrance for the ambulance drop-off is not changed.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Johnson.
I guess my concern is kind of twofold looking down the road, and it comes kind of with a question and an open-ended concern. The question is, was there any discussion with staff and Mercy about locating a parking deck behind the building rather than right out in front on Coon Rapids Boulevard? Or were they thinking that they wanted to locate it there because of where the emergency room is located? I don't know if those discussions happened at all.
Councilmember Johnson, I think those were discussed internally with them. They told us that they wanted to make this the focal point for the main entrance, and in doing that internally, they couldn't have the parking deck on the south side of the hospital and still have their main entrance and emergency entrance on the front. Logistically, it wouldn't work for them. So they decided, all right, let's put the parking deck out front here and make it look as attractive as we can.
Yeah, and I think they've done as good a job as can be reasonably expected for making it look attractive for being on Coon Rapids Boulevard. So I appreciate the efforts they've gone to there. My related concern is, and maybe it's because I work in downtown Minneapolis and spend a lot of time in parking decks, is do you know if they have any plans on charging people to park in the deck?
I do not. Yeah, come on.
You want to do that now, or just?
Yeah, come on up and answer the question.
Welcome.
Thank you. From what I understand, there is no desire right now to charge for parking. Some of the discussion has happened that if you start to, as soon as you start to charge for parking, people go way in the back like they do right now, because they aren't going to pay whatever that would be. So it would almost defeat putting a ramp up there. So that's the latest that I've heard from the hospital.
Okay. All right.
Any other discussion? Hopefully we'll hear from him again, because I missed it. Sorry. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. What?
Are we hearing from them first?
Well, you're here for another item, aren't you? Wait a minute.
You didn't introduce him.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Wondering who he was.
Yeah, would you come up and introduce yourself? Yeah. I'm sorry, yeah, I was thinking that they were coming back one more time here.
Okay. I'm Mike Rodriguez. I'm a vice president with HDR Architecture. And as we said, I have a 3D model I can take you around the project with, and a little presentation as well when the time comes. So.
Well,
Is that time?
This would be the only time if you want to do it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we'll switch this over. All right, well, thanks for having us here tonight. About a year ago, we gathered with leadership of Mercy Hospital, and one of the things that's great about Mercy is that year after year, it's always rated as one of the best hospitals in the region, just always is. But when we got together, we said, even though the care is rated very high, the facilities need a lot of attention. And for those of you who have ever visited someone out there or maybe had to use facilities, a couple of things you'll know. First of all, when you go out there, you don't know where are you supposed to go to register. So if you go to the wrong entrance, you may have to find your way through the hospital to registration. Once you get there, then you have to find your way through the hospital to wherever you're going. So there's issues. Then whoever dropped you off has to park either way and back and come around the buildings or out on the east side. And we know here, 9 months out of the year, that's usually not desirable. So a couple of things we said is, number one, what can we do to where when you arrive at the hospital and you park, you have the least amount of steps from where you park to where you register to where you wait for your department. So we are literally taking the whole inside of the hospital and retooling a lot of what's going on. So when you park at the hospital now, you'll park right at the garage. You can drop off right up front, go park in a garage, come out, go through that entrance, into the registration, right through a corridor. Registration's right there, waiting room's right next to it, and then you go to your center. So now all of a sudden, a lot of the confusion ends, and if you have somebody who is in a wheelchair or somebody who has issues walking, it's just the least amount of steps. So then the issue is what was brought up. At first, when we proposed it, leadership said, "Are you crazy for putting a parking garage at the very front of the hospital?" And we said, only if you don't do something special to this. If you leave it looking like a parking garage, then yeah, that's crazy. So we went through, and at first we said, let's make it look like a building. We start to look at glass, brick, really make it look like a building, but then it started to look like a college campus. And we said that was an issue, as well as a parking garage needs to breathe. You need the fumes to go out, and there's codes for that. So that takes away a lot of the glass. So then we start to look at it more as a sculptural element that can breathe. And the way that it can breathe is to use a metal, and these are not the perforated, they are not round like this. We actually are having mock-ups made, but this just gives you an idea. The panel would be able to breathe, and so it has different levels of openness through here. Some are a little more dense, some are less, and this allows on the garage to breathe and for it to flex. So taking that into account, you can see here kind of a rendering of the building and the entrance. So off to the left, the parking garage that has some glass, and that's all the metal panel that at nighttime, we're showing it kind of at dawn and the way it would reflect. But then to the right of it is a large entry pavilion. So we don't want you to mistake where the entrance is anymore. Entrance, and then to the far right, you start to see the entrance to the emergency department. Now, I'll just real quickly show you that what we did with the garage is we went through the different panels, and we actually, in a computer program, put together the different colors represents the different openness. And so we've met those, by code, we have met the parking garage structure counts. The other thing that we have done is you're going to see a sign on the front of the building. So even that we're looking at doing out of the perforated metal, but doing it in somewhat of an artistic fashion as well. So we didn't want to just put up a sign. Everything about this we want to be artistic. Now the company who does this, MG McGrath, they are actually out of St. Paul, but all their work pretty much goes all over the world. So they're really excited to have something here that's very sculptural, that they aren't putting on a museum over in Spain or something like that. So they're excited about it, we're excited about it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the hospital here. And I'm just going to kind of spin you around, and I'll try not to make you dizzy. But right up within here, you can see the parking garage. You can see the main entrance and drop-off, and then the emergency department drop-off. The emergency department will get an entire new lobby, as well as a lot of rework within the space. But you can see as I enter the drive, there's no mistaking where the entrance is. and the parking garage over within here. And as I drive up into the new hospital, I have a choice of either to the right, going to the emergency department with a full canopy over in here and the lobby space, or going up to drop off at the front, or going into the parking garage. And you can start to see that skin on the parking garage. So just to kind of give you an idea, that skin has these different perforated metal panels. We actually took some rock with the sedimentary formations that we found along the river's edge. We photographed it, we gave it to the vendor, and then they are able to cut the panels per that rock pattern. So it's really kind of trying to keep it to the Mississippi River and kind of the theme of what we see within the region. So this gives you an idea of how the garage will look, will lay out. As we come along Coon Rapids Boulevard, one of the things that we talked about with the Planning Commission was really being cognizant of the size of these trees. And you don't want to get something that's real sculptural and artistic and then not be able to see it. So we're looking at getting something that gives you the ornamental, but also at the same time, you're able to see the project. Here is from Coon Rapids, and so you really have a lot of this garage covered up through the Skyway, and you really only get the entrance, so it's kind of hidden from this direction. But for sure, where you're going to be doing most of your entrance, that garage comes to life. On the south side, this will give you a better idea of the addition. So this is all an entirely brand new surgery suite. So all new operating rooms and all the support for the operating rooms in this new addition here. And then over in here is where we have the central utility plant addition. And then we have a new loading dock over within here. And this back side will match colors, patterns, everything of the mother baby. So all this on the back will all blend and be seamless. You won't feel as much of a mix and match as what is out there currently. So having said that, I will open it up to, if there's anything that you want me to do, spin around the model, or any questions you have, please feel free to ask.
I have a question about the new emergency entrance, dropping somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
You usually have to, bring them in. Is there parking at all right there for those 15, 20 minutes while they bring in the person for the emergency?
It's a good question. So what we have is our drive lane right now. We have up to here to where we can have about 4 cars, just in case. So we do have the queuing. The other thing that the hospital is doing out within here is they actually have I don't know if you can see where my arrow is pointing, right over in this area. They actually have the curbside service, so they will valet park your car for you, and that would extend out into that whole area. So if anything gets congested, or if you need to get in and go in, they can valet park in the garage. So they're going to bring that service from the side over to the front.
Councilor Manning?
I'm just curious, can this be put on the website so that people can go in and see this? This is very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm not sure the best way to do that, but we can.
Gotta have an app for that.
We can provide the materials. Couple other things that I would tell you that I extended to the Planning Commission as well is we're going to have a mock-up built of this, and it's just a couple of panels, and it's up at the height, and it gives you the 5 different panels. And I said that as soon as that mock-up's built, I will send out a note, and we can pass along to you if you want to come to McGrath and see that mock-up. And in our office, if you want, we have the goggles, and you can really get in and look around. So it'll really come to life for you.
Councilor Manning, or Johnson, I'm sorry.
Just a quick question. So kind of dovetailing on my last question, they've not asked you to design it in a way in which the traffic patterns are inside the deck are there for creating terminals to pay when you come and go, or, pull a ticket,
No.
leave or anything
No.
like that. Okay.
No.
I appreciate you showing us this in more detail. It frankly makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, those drawings are, even as an architect, you look at those flat drawings, and I'm thinking, okay, let's go so we can get to that.
Right.
Because they're very hard to read and they're unattractive, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
To Councilmember Clint's question earlier, Did you look at the traffic flow from the parking ramp to try and get them back to Blackfoot where the stoplight is? Or, I suppose it's almost, I guess
Pretty
I'm not
tough,
sure how you
pretty
would do it
tough.
there.
Yeah, this is a really tricky one, because right now, it's not very ideal when you come in and you have to make a hard right to get over to this parking lot. It's pretty dangerous, and then what happens is, people will come out here, and then they'll come around this little island and U-turn and come back. I've done it myself.
Oh, yes.
So,
I think we all have it.
it's irresistible, but, so what we've done is we've made this a one-way first thing, so that people
Oh, okay.
cannot come out and do that. So that was very intentional. So we are having everybody exit this way. And I do appreciate the comments. I think a couple things. Number one, the hospital, I talked with everyone over there today, and they reassured us that whatever the traffic report comes back to, we're gonna full bore. We're not gonna come back and try to get a variance of this or that. So we're gonna abide by that. I think our hope, and what we've noticed a lot of times doing a lot of these garages, is that I think the traffic will be spread enough. It's not like a shift getting out. Like if the back lot, I think, is almost worse, because they literally go at shifts, and that is a mass exodus. Whereas this, I think, is going to be a continual just movement from there. So I'm always more worried about where most of the staff would be in the back and those shift changes than I am kind of people coming and going. But if it shows there's a line, I mean, we're going to go along with what we need to do, so.
Excellent.
It'll only get congested on Anoka, Coon Rapids, Blaine, and over hockey nights.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, very good.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Mr. Harlicker, you were almost going to let us miss this.
We see it.
Thank you. So, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Clinton?
I don't know how to word this, but I feel, personally, I have to say something. Because this is beautiful, and it's a great hospital, and I support it, and I will vote for it. But I have to say that it does give me a hard feeling to see the powers that be within the hospital have the foresight and the money and to move forward with this great expansion, and still not be working together with the nurses that are probably going to be going out on strike.
Oh, okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Mr. Harlicker, you got anything else cool we're going to miss if we move to the next item?
No. Next one's kind of generic.
All right. Next item on our agenda is consider introduction of an ordinance revising Ordinance 2136, correcting the legal description. And this is changing the zoning of property located at Woodcrest Drive and Egret Boulevard. It's the Coon Rapids Chrysler dealership that was changed from moderate density residential to general commercial. The zone change allowed the property to be developed for dealership parking, and we're just being asked to introduce the attached ordinance revising Ordinance 2136, correcting the legal description. So there was a delay in recording it with the county. During that delay, the applicant recorded the final plat for the property, thereby changing the legal description of the parcel from Lot 1, Block 1, Carla D Edition to Lot 1, Block 1, Carousel Motor Group Edition. So the recording document was rejected by the county because they had the property shown with the new legal description. So we will introduce this ordinance that will correct the legal description, and we will address this at the next council meeting, and we'll consider this introduced. Next item on our agenda is open mic public comment. Open mic provides an opportunity for the public to address the city council on subjects that are not part of the regular meeting agenda. The public is invited to express any concerns they may have which are relevant to the affairs, policies, or practices of the city of Coon Rapids. Remarks will be limited to 3 minutes. Should you wish to participate in open mic, please approach the podium and state your name and address before addressing the council. All remarks will be made from the podium and addressed to the council as a whole. Personal attacks are prohibited. Use of personal names is prohibited. Open mic is not a time for problem solving or reacting to the comments made, but for hearing the speaker for informational purposes only. Questions from council will be for clarification only, and if necessary, a staff report will be prepared for the next regular council meeting with a copy forwarded to the speaker. There, anybody here for open mic this evening? Okay, very good.
There's another wasted 3 minutes.
Reading that introduction, sorry, Councilor. Our last item on the agenda is the report on last open mic, and that was Jerry Pierce, 12236 Partridge Street, appeared at open mic at the May 17th council meeting and had questions regarding how the proceeds from the sale of the city's liquor stores were used. In 1987, the city council decided to divest the city's 2 municipal liquor stores by selling the stores to private operators. For the 1989 city budget, a special revenue fund was created to administer the proceeds from the sale of the municipal liquor stores. The initial equity transfer from the liquor store fund to the new special revenue fund, later known as the Liquor Divestiture Fund, was $948,368. Mr. Pierce stated during open mic that the proceeds of the sale were to be used in the construction of a senior center. However, staff was not able to identify if the proceeds of the sales were originally earmarked for a particular purpose. In the 1994 city budget, the entire fund balance of the Liquor Divestiture Fund was transferred to the general fund for the reimbursement of Ice Arena litigation and settlements that had been paid out of the general fund. It should be noted that the city later incorporated a senior center into the Civic Center when the building was constructed in 1996. The 2015 Coon Rapids Senior Services Annual Report has been attached to this memorandum and provides information on the variety of senior services offered at the Civic Center, and those are many, and no additional action is required at this time, and we are at other business. Councilor Manning?
I just want to find out, did anybody go out and take a look at those, the figures, the artwork along Main Street yet? Is there anything going to be done about that? It really does look like it. Wait, a whole lot longer, could start rusting through.
Mr. Stemwell?
Mayor, council members, Councilmember Manning, Mr. Himmer and I have talked about that on a couple occasions. We are going to get some bids on what it would cost to do that work out there. And if it's something that's too expensive just to incorporate this year, it would be incorporated into the 2017 budget process, which we're in the middle of now. So I think in a matter of some time, we'll understand what the cost of that would be.
Good.
Just as a quick update, we're going to look at it to determine whether or not we can self-perform. There might be something we can do in short order to spruce it up, to buy some time to budget for it. So that's something we're currently looking at.
Thank you.
Other business?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to make one little note that I did move within my ward about a mile, but our wonderful little provider, I've now been without a home landline for about 10 days. So anyone who needs to get a hold of me, certainly email is the best way. So if you try and call me, they will tell you that the phone doesn't work right now. Or call through City Hall and they'll get in contact with me. Hopefully it's supposed to be resolved in the next couple of days.
Your Honor, I'd just like to acknowledge the people that do all the hard work on the Veterans Memorial ceremonies that we have, both at Morningside and Bunker. Happened to be at Morningside this year. And like, it's a class act. It's very well done, and I just know how much work is done behind the scenes to make that happen.
I love the history lesson with all of the weapons over the years. That was very cool.
I think we should announce our, starting next week with our meetings in the park. Next Tuesday it'll be at Thorpe Park, starting at 6:30, I believe.
You can walk.
I know, it'd be nice.
Yeah, so that's on my little list here. The first thing on my list, though, is Mr. Himmer, that trail along 85th. It looks nearly done. Is it done?
The paving is complete. We still have to put in the pedestrian crossing pads. We have to cut those out in the appropriate locations. A little bit of grading, get some of the excess material out of there, and restoration and planting of some trees. But we are substantially complete.
Okay. And then I mentioned to Mr. Stemwell, I was told that Fridley doesn't plow those boardwalks in the winter. So maybe we can work with Mr. Mayor Lundy down there, or Public Works or somebody, to see if we can get them to sweep those trails, so we've got a connection year-round there. That would be
Maybe with
nice.
their new visitor center, that would spur them on to maintain it to a little higher standard.
Well, you would hope so. You know, you hate to have a trail that goes to nowhere. Yeah, that's right. All right, so another big thing starting this week is the Coon Rapids Arts Commission Thursday Night Live Concert Series at the Coon Rapids Dam. Their free concerts start this week, and they're kicking off with the TC Cats Thursday night at 7, that's June 9th. As Councilmember Clint mentioned, starting next Tuesday, June 14th, we'll have our first Summer in the City neighborhood meeting at Thorpe Park. The sprinkling ban is now in effect as of June 1st. It's the, if you've been in the city for a while, you know the odd-numbered houses, water on the odd-numbered days, and even-number houses on the even-number days. And then, Chief Wise, how are we doing for our police academy? I couldn't find the sign-up online. Do you know if that will be going on there, or are they registered through the department?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, is that we will be hosting this fall a Police Citizens Academy, and I haven't seen the recruitment online, but we certainly should be having something online. Can't go wrong by calling the police department either, but I would highly encourage anybody who has a general interest in how we do policing here in Coon Rapids is to look into it. Guaranteed good time.
That's
Educational and fun.
It says the deadline to register is August 8th, so
Yes.
apparently the information will be coming out.
Yep.
And then the last two things I've got is, actually, yeah, kind of. The first one, they're related. We have two deadlines coming up this week. We're one this week for the parade sign-up for the July 4th Carnival. It's actually July 2nd. So if you've got a float or a community group or something you want to get in the parade, get onto their website and get signed up for the parade. And June 18th is the early deadline for the first ever Firecracker 5K run that'll be in conjunction with the 4th of July Carnival. And then the
Walk and run, right?
Walk and run. Sure, yeah. And then the very last thing, we've got an important meeting coming up Wednesday, June 15th at Greenhaven and Anoka. The DNR has begun the formal phase of the Mississippi River Corridor Critical Area Rulemaking. And this phase includes a comment period on the proposed rule and 3 public hearings by an administrative law judge. If you are following the Mississippi River Corridor Critical Area Rulemaking, it is important to note this is the final phase of the rulemaking process, and the meeting will be with the DNR on Wednesday, June 15th, 4:30 at Greenhaven in Anoka. And all of those rules are on the DNR website.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And there's also that meeting on June 15th, which is the public information open house for the Hanson Boulevard grade separation meeting. As I understand it, it's still set for June 15th as well.
What time is that at?
5 to 7.
So
5 to 7.
So you and I can be in 2 places at the same time.
Yeah, it's also the North Metro Mayor's Group.
It's also,
Right.
Let's have everything the same night. All right. Any other business to come before council?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Gadsden, second by Johnson to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.